Hello everyone, my name is Steven Zapata. I'm a concept artist, illustrator, online art teacher, and former instructor at Art Center College of Design. I would like to introduce you to my new drawing course, Form from Imagination, a course designed to help you draw with confidence from your mind. Maybe you want to be a professional illustrator or designer, maybe you want to be a master with a pencil, or maybe you just want to be the best artist that you can be. Beautiful goals. But it's not always clear how to improve the work that you do from imagination. Over the past 6 months, I've taken all of the little eurekas, tips, and essential exercises that gave me confidence drawing from my mind and compiled them into a sequential course. We start with the absolute foundations, covering the scientific nature of light and shadow, how to hatch, how to create flat tones, how to render spheres and cubes, and step by step, we move through combined shapes, complex shapes, organic shapes. We cover how to simplify extremely complex subjects like the head into basic shapes so that you can handle them more easily from your head. We look at how to understand and treat details. And by the end of these 14 chapters with over 50 video lessons, you'll be ready to do complex designs from your mind with fidelity and energy. And all the demos are done in pencil on paper, so you can do all of the assignments even if you don't have a fancy digital art setup. But I also have demos, instructions, and modifications to the assignments for those who do want to do them digitally. Here's how it works. Go to formfromimagination.com and sign up for the course. Download the assignment book and start watching the lectures. Do the assignments at your own pace. Take your time with them and use this self-study to develop your patience. When you're done, post your assignments in the exclusive community hub, and I'll personally critique your work with drawovers, diagrams, and advice. I want you to know, this course is no joke just because it's online. It is challenging content, and it is more complete than it would be if I was teaching this class at an art college as I have before. If I was teaching this class in person at Art Center today, I would just play these videos in class, knowing full well that they're the most concise, focused, edited, step-by-step way to convey the material. So I'm serious when I say, this course isn't just a substitute for a college-level course, it's better than a college-level course. And you don't have to pay thousands of dollars per credit and wind up hundreds of thousands of dollars in debt. So thank you for checking out the course, thank you for watching this and for your support, and thank you for drawing and making your artwork. The world needs it. I'll see you soon. The year is 87039, new nonlinear time. It's been 50,000 years since Steven Zapata's final art stream, but we still live in a golden age defined by the gifts his stream bestowed upon mankind. Faster than light travel, eternal life, Steven cloning, and the keys to a truly galactic human civilization. My name is Stave Satapaz, a reminder clone of Steven Zapata, an exact reproduction of his personality as constructed by an AI compiling millions of hours of his original art streams. By all accounts, I'm exactly like the original Steven's public persona, just more muscular, exactly as he would have wanted. I travel the stars on my light tracer, a dream of Steven. My crew is, of course, all clones of Steven. Some of my officers are reminders like me, but not all. Some are bioclones, and yet others are aspectoids, clones who, instead of trying to capture his full essence, amplify a particular portion of the original Steven's personality. We've spent hundreds of years drawing, exploring, and philosophizing while snaking our way through the stars, spreading the good word of design. But we've had another, secret mission as we've cruised the cosmos. I, seek information on the legendary originals, Steven Zapata's true drawings that he flung wide across the stars at the end of his life on Earth, never to be seen again. My crew thinks I'm looking for them for the same reason all the other madmen do, because they would be valuable beyond all reason. But they don't know what I know, that a critical mass of originals in the hands of a trained reminder can provide a psychic link to the original Steven mind. Once I collect enough, I'll be able to fulfill my destiny and achieve psychological continuity with the original Steven. And through me, he will live again to usher in golden ages of art forever. Drawing Ascendant, The Eternal Chronicles of Steven Zapata. Lasting Legacy 1, Epic 1. Hello. Wait a second. Gotta adjust audio levels. Testing. Let me move this nearer to my glorious head. There. A little too close now. Hello, I'm me, and this is my audio level. Now a touch too loud. Hello, it's me, and this is my audio level. All right, there we go. Back to the usual. Hello, everybody. Hello, Majkan, Doroboro81, Moshin, Nerigis, Shogunate, Falls, 3616, Bread Pirate, Winter Squash, Care Blair, Polly, Michelas, AP, Timos F, and all of the others. Welcome. How we doing? Friday. It is Friday. You might think that Friday is like, whoa, it's Friday. Gateway to the weekend. Gotta hang out, gotta slack off, gotta do nothing wrong. Not around here. Around here, Friday is as good a day for drawing as any other. So you gotta get it in. You gotta get in your creativity. Fire out a sketch. Do a little something, why don't you? I mean, you love drawing, you want to draw more. You got things you want to make real. Visions that need to be concretized into form. You got to do it. There's nothing to it but to do it. It's never going to happen unless you sit there and you make the stuff. So get to making, or I'll scream. I'll scream really loud. And I'll scream your name. Shrill, piercing, horrifying. They'll hear it for miles in every direction, through every kind of dense wood and glen. And they will know. They will know whose fault it is. It will be carried on the very wind itself. You wouldn't want that, would you? Of course not. Of course not. So don't make me do it. Don't make me do that. Just draw. Draw and be heartened. Have you seen that Buns of Steel thing that shocks your butt? What are you talking about, man? What are you talking about? 2% Milk says, hey, Stevie, what up, 2% Milk? How do we know this entire presentation is not AI? I guess you don't. Can I don't have my lights on. I'm wondering if I can get away with that for my green screen, if it's showing up. No, we're all good. It's all good. Doesn't seem to be distorting my Photoshop, my Photochorps. Which is more important, school or drawing? You could do both. Just apply yourself. I don't know, what am I, your dad? You gotta set your own priorities in life. Honestly, though, if you're asking that question, you're probably young enough that it's school. You should pay attention to school. It's kind of like a self-selecting set. You have to honor your responsibilities, you know? That's weird. This brush was not lagging at all on our last stream, and on this one, it is. Oh, well. Technology is chaos. I mean, there's simply no way to know what's going to happen with it. We'll just have to accept that for what it is, friends. Just picking away at the face of the boar. For this concept, we did both of these basically to where they're at on the last stream, and now I'm just picking up the one on the right because I wanted to push it a little further. Finn Down says, "Are you my dad? Do I look like your dad? Do I sound like your dad? Does your mother give me winking, sidelong looks like she does to your father?" I'm not your dad. I'm probably not your dad. Probably not. Let's put a little, some rolled details on the edges of these armors. Just a few flicks to make it look like there's some twirly, bordery, knobbly bits. This is a technical term. It's a technical arming term from the 1400s, originated in France, from the armories of France. Rolly, knobbly bits. Yep, technical term right there. That boar is so cute. Thank you. I'm not sure if he would appreciate that compliment. You know, he likes to think of himself not as cute, but really more of an intimidating character. It's how he likes to come off. I don't think that he has really caught on that the vaguely Germanic fluting on his armor, as well as the bold two-tone design, sort of naturally endear him to people instead of threatening them, but maybe one day he'll figure it out. Eric Pitts says, "Steven, I found your channel recently and your opinion on AI art immediately galvanized my sentiments towards it. Thank you for fighting the honest fight." Well, Eric, I am happy to have pointed you in the direction of some hopefully interesting thoughts on AI. I've been working on it for a while, but the pre-written, carefully worded, planned video on AI is almost ready. It'll be coming out very soon. If you've, in those streams, including probably the one that you listened to, and in many other streams, I've read parts of it to explain certain arguments, and you've heard sort of extemporaneous improvised versions of the arguments on the stream, but that video is most of my main thoughts that I think a lot of people are missing, just put in one place in a cohesive package. With that wavy hair, he can do a shampoo commercial. Yeah, he hasn't caught on to how luscious his wavy hair is either. He's not nearly as threatening as he thinks. Is it one of those wacky videos or a Shakespeare-esque speech about life and the meaning of art? It's actually very practical. It's probably the most practical video it will be the most practically minded and earthy video on the whole channel, probably. It's a real, it's such a pressing problem and such a practical problem that it's sort of asked for it, which is not my usual MO, but most of the video is dealing with the bringing to light a lot of the sleight of hand that the AI companies are doing in the way that they're manipulating the narrative and the lies that they're telling, things that most people don't know about the data sets, the way that they're shelling themselves behind nonprofit research to create for-profit products, stuff like that. It's very, very earthy, very practical. I think a lot of the philosophical stuff with AI is almost laughably self-evident. It's just like, why do you want a robot to do one of the few things human beings like doing? It's not like we're automating away some boring manual process here. Drawing, painting, making art is one of the things people like doing. You're not automating a boring rote job. You're automating an aspirational job. Why? Why? That stuff is pretty self-evident to me. It barely asks for an argument. So it's very practically minded, the video. S. Stevenson says, do you use a tablet, and if so, which one? Yes, I'm using the Huion Kamvas 4K right now. It should be in the description if you scroll down. Yeah, it's in there at the bottom. It says some info on my digital art setup. That tells you the stuff I use. And right now I'm using the Kamvas 24 Pro 4K. You'd think it'd be self-evident, but I've seen non-artists using AI argue that it's eliminating a boring job. Yeah, anyone who's going to say that literally has never done the job before. That's clear. I can't imagine anybody who has actually engaged professionally with the industry, who actually has the ability to be a professional illustrator. None of them are going to say that. It's not like there's, it's just so obvious that the only people who are going to say that are people who have never done the job and can't do the job. But, yeah, it's just, it's not like, if you're a pro, if you've been a professional, you know that, yeah, there's times that the job is boring. There's times that, you can feel like you're being ridden around by a director or something like that, but it's also obvious to anyone who's been a pro that the answer to that is not to automate parts of the process and to make it possible to get more obsessed with productivity. All pros who have that earned cynicism about the industry, the fixes they're looking for or would want are just based on modifying the incentives and fair labor practices around the practice of art. there's not a sane professional in the world who would think that the answer to that is to automate parts of their creative process. In fact, to anybody who knows how you do the job, it's clear that that's going to cause more problems, not less. My dear friend Ahmed Al-Duri says, sometime soon I'm coming to New York and we're gonna make an art whilst on a cosmic dimension on a single bristle. You're on, bud. You're on. I'm in, baby. I finished that drawing that I've been doing on the last few streams, by the way. If you're on the Patreon, the scan is up there for you to check out. And for the rest of you, you will see it very soon because it will illustrate the AI video. But I wrapped it this morning, gave it a look after I'd had it tucked away, did a couple little things. My wife gave it the begrudging seal of approval. Time to ship it. I could have done a lot more on it, but I really wanted it to go with the video since it was being made in a lot of the discussion streams about it. So, time to ship it. I don't know if I like that dark value back there for the hair. I'm gonna undo a lot of that. That would make sense for the ambient occlusion back there, but as flat shapes, it kind of ruins the silhouette that the hair allows for the armor. So I think I'm just gonna leave it light like that. Tree Watcher says, sorry I'm so late. Tree Watcher, what are you doing? Everybody else is in their seats. Everybody else respects the class. Everybody else has their eyes up, facing front, looking at the board. And they're taking notes. And their laptops are either closed or they have Microsoft Word open for taking notes. And they're not distracted. They're not looking left and right. They don't have their phone up. They're not looking at the hair of the pretty person next to them or a few rows over. Their mind isn't wandering, thinking libidinous thoughts like yours. They're concentrating on the lesson, and you come strolling in here, all just opening the door, crack. We all look at you, and you're just like, that's your whole life, isn't it, Tree Watcher? Just, sorry. Just, if I just sneak it in there, just barely mouth it, just, look very repentant, everyone will forgive me. You're on thin ice, buddy. You're on thin ice. Now, I'm upset, everyone else is upset, the flow of the class is broken. And we've got no real option but to forgive you, right? Right? I don't know how much time I'll spend on this guy. I think I want to do a third concept for this sheet. We'll just get him right to the level. Omar Adasi, what up, buddy? He says, yo, Steve, do the funny thing. Jeez. You said what? Who? Oh, Dexter Ward? Yeah, I think I remember him. Sort of a tall, lugubrious sort of fellow. Kind of a drawn face. And yet somehow looking younger than the public record would say he should be. Yeah, he came strolling through here maybe a week or two ago. Started hearing some weird intimations about him. Some sort of implications that perhaps he was the re-embodiment of the consciousness of some long-lost ancestor that had found an alchemical process for making his undying spirit transmute from down the generation to generation. Yeah, he sounds familiar. Why are you boys looking for him? Ahmed says, Steven, there's too much Steven, there's too much fucking potential to just sit on this earth and not do the things. Did you know that? So much potential. It's true, Med. It's true. There is. It's like, damn. When you like when you pull back and you like connect, it's like life is so exciting, you know? You can get to feeling so pumped to just live life, to look at a plant, to go for a run, to eat some food, you know? Sometimes you just feel so, invigorated for your own life. It's like you just got out of a 14 billion year long stretch, and now you're ready to get going. Med, just rent a studio halfway between New York City and Ohio, and let's just do our podcast. We'll just meet there every day after a 4-hour drive each. It'll be great. Give the people what they want, Med. The people in this case is me. It's me. I'm the people. MT Art says, Steven, how's it going, Sensei? When does your AI diss track drop? Soon. We did the first pass at the edit. The drawing's done. My wife just has a few more things to read over. Give it a little proofreading, a little edit. I've got the drawing done and recorded, so soon.
Tomorrow.
My wife says tomorrow. You think tomorrow? Tomorrow. The edit's easy, like of the video, the edit's easy. It'll probably take me a couple hours to recite, but yeah, once the recitation is done, it'll be quick. We could have it up tomorrow. Can we see the drawing? Whoops. No, not bridge. Please don't crash stream. Get away from me, bridge. Oh, good. I don't have it on here. Thank Christ. Quit that. Yeah. Just quit. It ain't gotta be like that. Let me open this. If you're on the Patreon, you can see the high-res scan on the Patreon. I posted it. But I'm gonna bring this over here. Skeins and... There it is. That's how it wound up. There was a lot more I could have done on it, but time is of the essence. I don't normally put these on any kind of deadline, but sometimes when you want it to align with the video and the video's got to come out, it's time to go. What does your wife think about AI? She's like, can I get an AI husband or what? Boldening up the cast shadows so that they read as slightly more graphic slivers from far away. Because there's a lot of noise on the armor design because it's reflective, it's got the two-tone Germanic thing going. Actually, I don't think the two-tone is Germanic. The fluting, that's why I had that in mind. The fluting is Germanic, right? Armor experts. Fluting armor was a Germanic armor thing, right? The two-tone thing, I actually don't know who made that popular. Italian, French, German. English. I kind of lost the fluting that I'd indicated on these hip pieces here, the fouled. I might need to reclaim those. Steven, do you use a particular scanning service or do you do your own? I do my own scans. I use a very good but incredibly old scanner called the Epson Perfection V500 Photo. I think I got it a dozen years ago. I think it's literally 12 years old, this scanner. But it is an excellent scanner. People still say it's one of the best scanners you can get. It's just like a great product. But if you try to get it now, it's really expensive because it's old. You know, you got to buy like a used one, I think. I don't know if they make them new anymore. But people say it's a great old product and the price is high because it's in demand. But I think most mid-level new scanners are probably better than this dozen-year-old thing. So anything that scans at a really high DPI and will give you a good result for scanning drawings. And all you got to make sure to do is learn how to adjust it yourself. So I turn off all of the built-in adjustments on the scanner. I turn off the automatic exposure correction, color correction, all that stuff. I take it all off. You do it yourself. What are these characters' names? This is Sir Slithers of Sassicia, Lord of the 17th District of Pandemonium. And this is Barabbas Boralian the Borth. Yeah. Yeah, or David. Just take your pick. People really seem to like David. I don't know. I thought Borabas Boralian the Third was pretty good. Borabas. Anyway. Dew Diehard says, "Hi Steven, big fan of your work and kind words. I'm an animator and 3D rigging artist. I've been drawing since I was 16. I am in my 30s now." Me too. I have the younger gen treating me like a relic with AI now. What are they saying to you, Dew? What did those disrespectful and deceptive members of a virulent and ungrateful generation say to make you feel like a relic? I promise you they're wrong, merely on principle. I barely even need to know, especially if it's about the AI stuff. Don't let them talk to you that way. You know what you should try? Try acting really pretentious and speaking condescendingly to them. They always react well to that, in my experience. Omar says, "Ahmed, call Steve right now. Get in on a guest phone appearance." Omar, Ahmed does that all the time. You're just showing that you're not on stream enough, or else you'd know that. And leave Ahmed be. He's got things to do. He's got art he needs to concentrate on. I just enjoy drawing a lot, but thank you for keeping it real and the vibe positive. Oh man. Are they being mean to you just because you like drawing? Are you telling them like, "Nah, I like to draw," and they're like, "Huh, what a loser." What? Dew likes to draw? Please. That's only gonna hold him back. He should be using these AI art programs. Is that the kind of attitude they're taking with you? Time will tell. Time will tell. They don't know the damage they do to themselves and to each other. They just don't understand. They don't know what it's like to actually enjoy doing something. Jordan Nelson says, can a robot write a symphony? Can a robot turn a canvas into a beautiful masterpiece? The question is, the answer is unfortunately more complicated than we might hope. I was actually just listening to a podcast this morning, the New York Times new podcast, Hard Fork. It's their new tech podcast. And it's just like a tech news podcast. And they were playing examples of a new audio AI that just came out yesterday, I want to say. And they were playing samples of it where they just, they gave it 2 seconds of someone playing piano, and then it matched the style and extrapolated on the song for like 6 seconds more. Like, so longer than the input, like it just read into that input. And yeah, I mean, if they didn't tell you, you never would have, you wouldn't notice the handover, you wouldn't notice the point where it switched. It'd be different, of course, if, we're talking about an audio sample where you didn't recognize the song to begin with. You get what I'm saying? But interesting beginnings to the AI revolution. Interesting beginnings. So, unfortunately, your question about can it write symphonies, can it turn a canvas into a masterpiece, I think we need to not handle answers like that or questions like that dismissively, because they're really, that reaction is really susceptible to new information. I think we need to start taking these things seriously, because we've already been unhorsed and unarmed by how much they snuck up on us, and that's mostly because we didn't take them seriously. So I think we need to start taking them seriously and not being like just that tone of like, no, it could never do this. It's like, I just found an AI this morning as well. Well, there's a few video AIs already, right? Meta released a few weeks ago its previews of its text-to-video AI, which we talked about on these streams. I mentioned the first sample images it showed. One of them was a teddy bear painting a teddy bear, so it's like almost directly attacking artists. It seems a little bit mocking, if you know what I mean. By the way, Meta's text-to-video AI system is trained on Shutterstock, all of the videos on Shutterstock, and 300 million YouTube videos. That sounds messed up. It's because it is, and they can do it because they're shelling their for-profit ventures behind non-profit research branches that have privileged copyright status. If that sounds absurd, it is, and you should resist. But I found a new one this morning. I forget the name, just so you guys can look it up if you're interested. This one was interesting to me because it, man, what was it called? Let me look back in my history. This one was interesting to me. Sorry, I'm getting distracted. I want to find the name. It has a weird name, so I can't quite remember it off the top of my head. Here we go. Phenaki. If you go to phenaki.video, you can see some of the previews. It's Phenaki. But the interesting thing about that one is it does video, but it takes long prompts. So the prompts are basically movie scripts that say how the camera moves, how the scene changes completely. It's not locked into one scene. And it produces long form videos, minutes long, from long prompts. Just another example of like, because I was writing about the stuff, I was like, obviously it will do this very soon, but it's another example of our ignorance of being like, you find yourself thinking, oh, obviously it'll do this very soon. And then actually, no, it already does it. There's already one. Interesting stuff. People have already been making videos with the AIs for a while, just by generating a lot of still images and then linking them together themselves. So this has kind of already been on the table, but the long prompt that allows you to sort of tell it what to animate over time and how to change the scene, that seemed like it was a bit off, and it turns out it just wasn't. It wasn't. It'll be here quick, and there's already examples of it. Art Apprentice says, hey Steven, have you seen the tweet about someone screenshotting an incomplete live stream drawing, inputting it in AI, then exporting and posting it as is their artwork? Yes, I have seen that. I may be incorrect, but it was actually worse than that. It was that they screenshotted it during the live stream, finished it with the AI, then they posted it before the real artist could post the original. And then they accuse the real artist of stealing their work. Stuff like that is just gonna keep, if that is actually the case, that's the version of it that I saw through a repost. I'm not sure if that's actually what happened there, but the story you explained, more trimmed down, I did see that. As we've said on these streams, one of the biggest problems that the AIs are gonna bring about, if we just allow them to trample over us without any sort of resistance, is the liars. Just, it opens up so much room for lying. And there's really no way to disprove that they're, or to prove that they're lying, and no one's really going to be asking, and these people are under no obligation to disclose that they're using AIs. And that will be happening in absolutely every field, in video, in images, games, movies, all the media that comes out. It's just like, unless we change some laws, make some demands, unless we get serious about the ethical and world distorting ramifications of a technology like this that can be run en masse all day, all night to make as much media like this as we want, we're going to find ourselves in a society where any company that wants to keep up will be strongly incentivized to lie through their teeth constantly. It's just like, we got to find some way to keep this sane, and to find some way for us to know. And the typical rejoinder here is people who want more technology to solve this stuff. They say, well, we'll train an AI to let us know what is AI. And it's like, again, it's very troubling that our solution is more robots that are controlled by companies, that are kept on a company's leash, that are given to you as a privileged offering by a company. They probably want to charge you for it. It's like, guys, we gotta look for what world do you want to live in, you know? Cyanide says, "Hey, Steven, how do you have hope in ages of despair?" You know, it's difficult to put into words without sounding like completely anodyne, but whatever happens, whatever shape society takes here, whatever weird permutations, twists, distortions, and perversions these new technologies and anything else that could come up goes through, it's not to say that that will always result in good things, right? History is full of horrors, but the hope, the optimism must come from understanding that there's gotta be a way people can communicate with people and that we can talk to each other, reach each other, and affect each other, and hopefully engender sane conversation with each other and instill humanistic values. Even if it looks unlikely in the current world, even if it sounds difficult, it is obviously on the table until the world is controlled by an algorithm. But besides that totally dystopian science fiction outcome, it's always going to be on the table. So there's always a chance to make people realize that the world was made to be enjoyed moment to moment by human beings and not corporations and automated algorithms and things like that. So there's always a chance. As long as we fight and we keep our heads on straight and we talk to each other and we be honest about these things and we look through all of the spoon-fed bullshit of the companies that have everything to gain from brainwashing us on these and many other topics. And that is why I'm so especially offended by the idea of automating art, because art is one of the ways that we keep ourselves calm in times of great trouble, right? Even in times of absolute chaos, people make art to calm their nerves, to feel safe, to take their mind off of it. It is both escape and therapy. And on top of that, it's a way to communicate with other human beings, to get in touch with other human beings and to soften their hearts, to open their spirits, to open their eyes, and to communicate things that are otherwise very difficult to put into words. So it's an especially sacred thing to threaten with automation. I think it's foolhardy in the extreme. Extrarium says, the funny thing is the influx of content and media from people self-producing with AI is going to lead to a bunch of schlock and devalue indie media, propping big studios up even more. It's fortune telling, you know, we got to admit when we're doing fortune telling, but I tend to agree with that. I personally, when I try to think this stuff through and I imagine the incentives and how things are going to go, I think something like that is unfortunately very likely. Yeah, I tend to agree with you. I don't think it's actually a virtue that art be made quickly. You know? I mean, you learn from spending time with it. Art is made better by spending time with it. The idea of producing art immediately, quickly, and at first blush, it just, I mean, man, it's hard to, the problem here is that it's difficult to make someone who hasn't engaged art making seriously for a long time, it's difficult to make them believe this. But when you express these things to people who have done that, we all get it, we all know. To rush art, to make it instant, to make it fast, to make it boom like that, lowers it to the lowest common denominator and makes it worse. It makes it repetitive, and it stunts the creative process. Ideas morph, change, transform, improve, solidify, and evolve across time. It's not a benefit that things be done lightning fast. It's a detriment in the long run. It's like, if you've never tried it, you'll never believe me, but it's like living with an idea in your mind, having a drawing on the drawing board for a month, right? Which I've done. I'd like to do that. You know, I'll do drawings for weeks at a time because my drawings are pretty involved and I'm trying to push myself, right? Living with that drawing, having a relationship with it, having it on the drawing board for long periods of time, being able to think about it on walks, while you're daydreaming, while you're in the shower, while you're on the train, it improves it. It makes you take it in new directions. It makes you push it in different directions. The time aspect is valuable. It's not holding you back, it's helping you. Ahmed says, that's a great point. Do you cover time in your video? I think, yeah, it's in the conclusion, I believe. I've mentioned it a lot on here, and I have a patron-only podcast on the Patreon where I talk about AI and process for about an hour. That is almost exclusively about that. I think that one's called, hold on a second. Let me check the name. Yeah, in case you didn't know, if you get on the Patreon, let me show you this. There's patron-only audio on the Patreon, and there's an RSS feed now. So you see that? Steven Zapata Podcast Premium. So that's it on the Apple podcast app. So you just get on the Patreon, you click the link, it automatically hooks it up with your podcast feed, and there's the patron-only audios all loaded up for you in podcast form. And one of them, if you go back 3 episodes ago, is Thoughts on Process, AI, and Styles. And that is a deep dive into the way that instantaneous art production completely short circuits that particular time function of being creative. It's like, again, yeah, it's going to be hard to explain to people who haven't had a deep relationship with art for a while, but it's like, yeah, your ideas get better from spending time on them. And they're worse, more boring, more schlocky, more mediocre, more similar to other things, less special if you just spit out the first thing over and over and over again. That's only going to make your ideas worse, not better. Adding some clear edges to the armor here. Does AI art have a soul? What makes art have a soul? I think that that's the wrong way to look at it. Consider this. Let me make a new canvas here. This is a 1920 by 1080 canvas, right? HD resolution, same as a movie, right? I think you would tell me that in an HD movie, I could show you anything, right? Every theoretical photo of any corner of the entire universe could be represented in this aspect ratio if it's applicable for this aspect ratio, right? Once you throw in pans, moving the camera, you could get everything. But let's just say just in this format, right? You could show just about anything visual, right? Here's the wonder of that. That universe of possibility is effectively infinite, but is actually finite. There's only so many possible different configurations of the possible different pixel states in this full set of 1920 by 1080 pixels, right? So theoretically, every possible permutation of every possible image is within this vast set of possibilities, 10 to the something, 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 some horrific number, that is possible within this 1920 by 1080 frame, right? The AIs have numbers on their side. They can produce in volumes that we could never dream of doing. So whatever soulful picture you could imagine, no matter how magical it feels, no matter how much you would want it to have a magical soul bird floating above the picture, when push comes to shove, it is an example somewhere in that vast 10 to the something something power set of possibilities. The AIs can mine that faster than human beings can. The volume, the numbers are on their side, not ours. So even without a soul, even without the magic of human consciousness, if we turn on thousands of AIs and let them run on autopilot, which is possible, obviously, the numbers are on their side. And through sheer volume, they will hit on many quote unquote soulful pictures. And within the data set that they can mine, there is every possible soulful picture that you could make, right? Theoretically, all of those pictures are hidden within just the noise that is possible on this canvas, right? If I just run if I just do filter, noise, add noise, if this is a truly random Gaussian distribution, right? I could just rerun the noise filter in Photoshop for infinity, and occasionally I would encounter a perfect photograph of Queen Elizabeth or a Komodo dragon or myself, then myself on an elephant, myself on a dragon. Every possible permutation is within those random sets, right? There's actually a very interesting internet experiment that does this. It's called the Internet Archive of Babel or something like that. It just asks you to reload random noise images, and if you find anything, to like tag it so that they can archive it. The AIs can sift through these with much greater acuity than we can, and they can avoid all of this insane randomness and just strike for the stuff that feels like something else. That's how the AIs work. So again, it's less a question about if AIs have souls or if they can make soulful art, because the most soulful art you can imagine or you can make is still, when push comes to shove, going to be contained within this random Gaussian distribution set of possibilities, which is, you know, the models we're dealing with these days are noise diffusion models. They have realized this and they do that, right? They use noise. Literally this, what you're seeing here, Gaussian noise is a vital part of the process that they use to produce these images. So, all that to say, it's less about soul The numbers are on their side. They will be able to sift through the possible, almost archaeological space of potential images within a resolution, aspect ratios, anything, with much greater speed than humans can, distribute it with much greater speed than humans can, and with those numbers, they will occasionally strike upon utterly sublime art. There's no reason that's not possible. Would you say, Laifu says, would you say that we still have the advantage of intentionality, where we know what looks good versus going through every possibility? Well, the problem is the nature of our knowing, because the nature of our knowing is susceptible to AI replication. I mean, our knowing of what looks good is not so magical as we would hope. It's a pattern recognition system of attractive shapes in the abstract on some sort of cross plot with what is attractive in the abstract and what is also characteristic of a particular piece of content, right? It is much more complicated than that, but all of the complications are iterations of that therein, right? So intentionality is not so magical a thing that these machines could not somehow find some, if rudimentary, way to capture it or to create a simulacrum of it. They can know what a good shape is the same way we know what a good shape is. What we would say makes a good shape, you can weight the parameters in these programs to prefer shapes that have those qualities. So straight against curve, appropriate randomness or simplicity, more geometric or more chaotic, things like that. And then they can tell what looks, well, they can tell, you know, based on these mathematical systems, they can tell which good shapes look more like a thing, a lizard, a pig, than another good shape. So I don't see intentionality being where we sort of get off the train here. Emiliano Sunshine says, then what makes human art better? That humans made it. That's what makes it better. Machines cannot enjoy the fruit of their labor. Machines cannot feed their families with the sweat of their brow. If we assume, here's the thing, right? This is fortune telling, right? We don't know that machines could make art as good as humans, right? I'm happy to admit that's fortune telling. The problem is that we also don't know they can't, right? We can't prove that they cannot. Even the current state of the art with the AIs, 10 years ago, to a person, everyone in this chat would have thought that this possibility was laughable. Don't pretend otherwise. All of us would have thought that it was ludicrous to think that they could get as good as they are now, right? 10 years ago, to a person, everyone in this chat would have thought it was insane. So it's not that we know they could make art as good as a person can, but the other problem is that we don't know they can't. So if we entertain the idea that through innovation, unethical practices, and technological advancement, they could, why would we afford the benefits of art, one of the things we like doing, to them? That's it. It's better because humans did it, because we have a conscious experience to enjoy it. We have a reason for pride when we can use it to communicate with others, to feed our families, to make an aspirational career out of it. A lot of people are trying to brush over the fact that we're automating. People are like, oh, well, who cares if art careers go? It's like, you can still make art. It's like, you don't care that we're automating an aspirational career instead of a humdrum career? How many aspirational careers are there really in the world, I ask you? The aspirational careers are not something to be so easily shrugged off. Work defines people's lives to a big part, and it's not the healthiest thing, but people really care about what they spend 8 to 9 hours a day doing for their livelihood. Now, in some enlightened society, we could step away from that, but for now, we haven't. So I don't think it's such an easy thing to automate an aspirational career. I don't think it's no big deal. Isn't that an emotional argument, though, says Toshi? Yes, it is, but humans are made of emotion. On this particular point, I have to make clear that I think humanistic values really apply to things that humans care about. That said, my upcoming AI video has there's very little emotion in it. It's dealing specifically with the systems. If we ignore the emotional part of it, the systems are deceptive, flawed, unethical, based on wholesale theft, manipulation, and data laundering. So we can take emotion out of it as much as you want, and the whole thing is corrupt and crooked all the way down. All the way down. Is Not 42 says, if you throw away trying to compete with art and the supremacist notion of human art is better and think of art as a medium of communication, this whole problem goes away. If you work for the robots, I don't trust you. And it doesn't go away. The whole problem doesn't go away. Just watch my upcoming video. That's all I can say. I can't read you my 14-page system breakdown just on stream right now. Just watch out for my upcoming video, because my real argument here, I think the emotional part is super important, and I think that artists understand that, because artists tend to be emotional and sensitive people, right? But the main argument that I'm putting forth and will put forth in my upcoming video is entirely concerned with the way these systems are arranged and the companies that are trying to distribute these things. It's problems with the data sets. It's problems with opt-in and opt-out. It's problems with the way that they're shelling themselves, for-profit companies behind non-profit smokescreens. It's problems like that. I understand that this fight is not a fight to be had on emotional grounds. That never works. Those are completely subjective, and there'll always be people like you who apparently like robots and want to consider the idea that as it is now, the human world is for humans to enjoy instead of for robots to enjoy. There's always people like you who will be able to say ludicrous things like that. But my argument is not actually based on that, and that is not the cogent argument that I will be putting forth. I do think the emotions are important, but my actual argument is based on the systems. Based on the systems, bad incentives, the way that we're being manipulated by the companies already just in their infancy. If anyone wants to accuse me of human supremacy against robots, things that have no conscious experience and cannot suffer, I'm happy to take that accusation. Feel free. Steven, please, you are more than right in your Butlerian jihad, but it's Friday. Could you do the thing for our sanity? What thing? What Friday? Do I have a Friday thing? What thing? I don't know what thing you're referencing. I already did my Backwater Hick knows way too much about H.P. Lovecraft mythology while speaking to paranormal detectives bit. I already did that earlier in the stream.
What are you boys doing in these parts? I don't see young officers like you around here very... What's that? The Elder Thing? The Elder Thing? You mean one of those vaguely vegetable-like, multi-symmetrical, starfish-headed, winged, clothes-wearing, dog-aggravating monstrosities that came down, filtered down from the stars in aeons long gone? Elder Thing. Actually, now that you mention it, I think I did see one of them just the other week around here. Yes. If I remember right, he came by, he was wearing some sort of, I don't know, seemed like some sort of a tent that he had rudimentarily modified to fit his inhuman and obviously aberrant anatomy. He was trailing behind him some sort of large sack of preserved human remains and canned foods, as if he was on some sort of expedition, perhaps to some long-lost city or plane of horrors unknown and non-understandable. Yes, I did see him on 3rd Avenue in Maine just last week. Why are you boys looking for him? Let's just flute some little details in these areas.
Tim says thank you. My pleasure. The pleasure is, of course, all mine. All right, that pig still needs a lot of work, but I do feel like doing another sketch before I get off, so let's just throw down something new. I don't know if it'll be nightly. I can always move it over to another document if I don't want to do that. Let's just move this wider, give ourselves a little bit more room. I really went right into refining. So we gotta warm up to sketching a little bit. Just kidding, warming up isn't real, just draw. Maybe we could do something more unearthly, less inspired by real plate armor. Do something more alien. Use a quicker brush. Is artistic creativity a function of experience or intelligence? Both, I would say. Just a guess, I don't know, but I don't mean like broad-based intelligence, but I think like artistic intelligence, that is to say, in whatever capacity it's relevant to your particular subject matter or style. I think it definitely comes into play. I don't like that. I feel like just having it be mostly robes is lacking a little substance. But I don't hate the shapes. Let's just make that real small and stick it up here. Thank you, Dio. I don't think you can call AI art actual art. It feels like an oxymoron to me. In my opinion, any art is something that is the result of human effort. I wouldn't get caught up on the semantics of calling it art or not. Even without AIs on the table, people can't agree on what is art or not. I think if we get caught up on that in the arguments, it's going to drag us down, and it's not going to be fruitful. You know, people have always fought about what deserves the label of art, right? I just don't think that's worth it, because whether you allow for AI art to be called art, right, or you don't, it contributes nothing to the arguments. It doesn't actually change anything. I think it's ultimately irrelevant whether we call it art or not. Maybe the lines are not the way to go. Let me throw down. Sometimes a good way to make something feel very unusual right off the bat is to mess with hue, because we have very naturalistic associations with hue. So if you undermine them, it tends to move things away from the expected. Emiliano Sunshine with the Mexican $50. Wow, thank you, Emiliano. Love your art, man. Sorry if I sound like I love AI art. I don't like it. Don't worry, it's okay. Just so everybody knows, I'm aware that with, you know, I don't have the fastest chat in the world. You know, I'm not like some guy playing modern Call of Duty. You know, but I know chat goes by fast. I know sometimes I need to pluck things out of context. I totally get that sometimes I'm misreading people and things like that. When I like double down on something or go in on something, you got to understand, it's to get to the argument. It's to spread the point. It's not, I'm never actually getting personal, right? It's like, we're in the land of handles and anonymity and things like that. I'm just trying to get to the arguments, and I know that I'm plucking things out of chat, out of context a lot of the times with how fast chat is going. So don't worry about it. I didn't think you really didn't like, or that you really loved robots or something. So doing a more strange color sketch to try to get something more alien right off the bat, like I said. Color is your friend when you want things to feel off. How do you sketch color like that? That's wild. That is the, in Photoshop and most other 3D, not 3D, digital programs have some sort of function like this. If you go to your brush settings in color dynamics, I just cranked up the jitters, so hue jitter, saturation jitter, and brightness jitter. And for people who have played with this before but don't know how to get that result, usually when you crank up color dynamics in Photoshop, you get a result like that, where you get a little bit of color flecking in each individual stroke. But you can get the result that I'm playing with here if you just click this box, you unclick this box. Instead of apply per tip at the top here, unclick that. And then since it's not applying it per tip, that is how Photoshop describes each individual stamp sample of a brush's alpha. Since it's not applying it per tip, it will apply it per stroke. So every time you do a different stroke, it'll just ever so slightly vary the parameters that you described, hue, jitter, saturation, things like that. It's much faster than, you can get the same result if you turn this all off and just do this, right? And just randomly switch it, randomly switch it. Also include turning the color wheel as you do it. It does the same thing, it just takes longer, right? Hold on, it's getting real dark in here. I'm gonna turn on a light. Did that ruin my green screen? Let's see. No, it's still working. Nick says, does the color randomization work with grayscale / value only too? Yeah, if you just use gray and you turn down the sliders for saturation and hue, it'll only vary the value. See there? So it's an easy way to get some controlled variety per stroke. If you crank it up really high, it'll be completely uncontrollable. You like won't be able to get, you won't be able to guess what you're gonna get out of it. Let's see what I want this to be. It's an interesting look. It certainly feels alien, but it's not like clear what it is, you know? It's not like the other designs where it's trying to be a knight or an animal or something like that. Now maybe that's fine for something completely alien, but it'd be kind of nice if it was had some sort of noticeable characterization. I don't like these warm greens down here. I like the cooler ones against the warm reds, so let me just go over these. I was listening to a Jeremy Lipking tutorial DVD once, and he told a story about his painting teacher. I don't know if it's, you know, an apocryphal story or something like that, but he said that on the first day of his painting class, after he'd been taking a lot of drawing classes, his painting teacher came into the first day of class and just said, all you need to know about painting is that there's warm and cool colors, and that Jeremy had found that to be true. And I also have found it to be, well, I personally would say there's a little bit more to it than that, but it is a huge amount of what makes color color. But if I were you, I'd trust Jeremy Lipking before you trust me.